New arrests in the murder of a Lumpkin County woman believed to be found in a shallow grave. Law enforcement charging two teenagers, Dylan Reed and Isaac Huff, with helping to hide the body of 21-year-old Hannah Bender. Police still awaiting the official autopsy report to confirm the body found in Forsyth County last week is in fact the missing woman. Investigators are still searching for Austin Stryker, the man accused of killing Hannah. A controversial medical sterilization plant closed indefinitely. Cobb County leaders hand-delivering a letter to Sterigenics attorneys yesterday, confirming its construction permit remains on hold and the company must meet new safety standards to reopen. The plant in Smyrna voluntarily suspending operations in August to install new equipment amid concerns over it releasing cancer-causing toxins into the air.
I'm Tracy Potts in Washington, where the Secretary of State is accusing Democrats of trying to bully and intimidate State Department employees who've been lined up to testify or give depositions in this impeachment inquiry. And Democrats are saying the same thing about Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State, trying to slow down this investigation. One official set to testify today, well, that's been postponed. Meantime, President Trump's attorney, Rudy Giuliani, under subpoena for documents, now has his own lawyer. He says he may sue.